Hello and welcome to show 4 of the Tour de Zwift Live. We're back with some hardcore Zwift racing to get you ready for the next stage of the Tour de Zwift. Back with me again is Hannah Spanner-Walker, resplendent in some athleisure.
I have. Be safe, be seen, you know?
Yeah, I like a bit of
get
athleisure.
your sunglasses on.
Oh, yes. Do you know, I like a bit of athleisure. I'm a big fan of athleisure, mainly because I do a radio show at night. I'm very, very close to just doing the entire show in my pyjamas. Big fan of comfortable wear myself.
Just staying that all day.
Oh, yes. Now, the Tour de Zwift is well underway now. 3 stages down, 4 to go, exploring all the worlds of the Zwift universe. Thousands, nay, millions of people are either riding, racing, or running together. Hannah, have you run it yet?
No.
Have you ridden it yet?
No, I haven't.
Have you raced it, though?
I have.
Indeed.
Have you?
Yes, I did. We raced together. We did stage 1 together. We didn't do stage 2.
No.
We didn't do that. But stage 3 we did do together.
We did. And I think each week, well, each race, we're getting better. Or certainly for me anyway. But you were in the front group.
I was. And I'm not just saying this because I'm working for Zwift. I really am getting better. I'm getting more tactically aware when it comes to the races. I'm getting fitter as well. And I was in that front group and I got up the big climb in Watopia, which I was scared about. I was very excited about it in that front group. And then, do you know what happened?
Go on, tell everyone.
I dropped my chain and had an absolute meltdown about it. I was very close to a Wiggins throw my bike in a bush moment.
Smashing the window with the turbo on the back.
You know the phrase rage quit? Well, that almost happened. Almost happened. Anyway, talking of faces, we've been asking you to share your TDZ pain face with us. We've had some more in this week. Let's take a look at them. They're very, very good ones. Who is this, Hannah?
This is Jess Pratt, the newly crowned Zwift Academy winner, racing for Canyon Sham Racing. Great support as well there in the background, having some fans cheering on.
Yep, she's shouting at her bottom or listening to her bottom, one way or the other. Then we've got Alex C. Paul, who we've seen before, again in a lovely hat and a pair of close-cup headphones, which you said made you overheat. For me, I just think you end up sweating into them and then need to be nuked from orbit.
Yeah, that's quite true. But you know what I mean? You just can't feel yourself. It's just, no not nice.
And then we've got this from Cyclismo Sarah, who you can tell is on the bike as she's going because her legs are blurry as she spins round. And then we've got 2 shots from the same person. This is Aussie, 56.29. Apparently this is mid-race. And then look how pale he is post-race, toweled down and looking fine. And then these 2 people, which might be post-race.
Oh, wow.
Look at that petulant teenager. That's after the last race when I'd had the moment and I rolled in.
Love the cap. Oh, God, this is like Tour of Kitchens, isn't it? Never mind Tour de Zwift.
I love the fact that that mirror behind you is reflecting your face. Look how high. You said I've turned into an emoji at that point.
Yeah, I meant my face, not the thing in the background. Okay, yeah, it's like, you know, the bright red emoji with the sweat here and then tongue out.
You did.
Awful.
But you were trying hard. And that's what you got to do when you're racing.
Well, this is what Tour de Zwift's all about. You know, any ability, any age, give it a go.
Keep them coming in. Join the conversation using the hashtag Tour de Zwift. We want to see your pain faces. You also join the chat during this stream. We've got an eye on it. I'm watching it right now. Thank you so much for everyone who is getting involved, cheering people on and posing questions. Let's talk about the pros and elite Zwifters now. Hannah, they have shown us how to race this. And last time out, it was the women. It was some race, a great race.
It was, and the Zwift community, you know, they truly dominated, especially the Danish bike riders with Louise Huback and Cecilie Hansen. They picked up points and won the points maximum in each intermediate and the finish line. As you can see, just look at the timing there. It's absolutely sensational, and great to see that we've got the in-race live from seeing how hard these riders are working.
It is. A mate of mine who was watching the races, he loved that. He loved that because he's not from a gaming background, but he loved being able to see the what's on screen and then seeing the pain in the faces as well. And I think if we're talking about timing and strategy, because a lot of Zwift racing is about strategy, you sometimes see the pros knocking out humongous numbers, and then the amateurs who are not doing the same numbers, maybe don't have the same skills, they're winning those races because they understand how to race. And Team DBR, the Danish bike racers, I mean, tactically, they are so astute.
Yeah, and you know, their experience, their expertise is just shining through above everyone. And actually, you know, the professional bike riders who race on the UCI World Tour scene, they really do have some ground to make up on the Zwift community. And it just shows spending more time on Zwift, racing on it, knowing the courses, it makes a huge difference.
Yes, indeed. We're going to find out the course in just a second. We are T-minus 10 minutes away from the start of our 4th stage race. The men are going to be taking that on. Let's take a look at some of the riders who are warming up right now, all much more prepared than myself and Hannah are when we race. This is Christian Moxon of Bolt Racing. You can see him there. He's got the keyboard. He's got a keyboard in his hands. Good man. The headband on as well. Towel there and the TT bars. He's looking ready to go. This is Jan Prids of Team DBR. We said that they are tactically astute.
You can just see he's speaking to someone there. So obviously tactics are already going down between teammates. That shows they're on it for tonight.
Yeah. Ryan Larson, their Team Indoor Specialist. Oh, look at that. One leg and a calf stretch at the same time.
Showing his strength there.
Look at that outfit. He's dressed to impress. That should be Lionel Varsit from Canyon ZCC. He's probably nipped off for a pre-race, who knows what. They are doing what you usually would do, and sometimes if you do need a wee or a toilet stop, you've got to go do it quickly.
Yeah, and especially, you know, when the nerves start to hit and you do have time, there's nothing worse than being in a race and needing to go for a nature break. So definitely get it done. It's always the nerves as well.
Especially if we've got them on stream.
Exactly.
There'll be no wide neck bottles in this race. Thank you very much. Now, we've seen some fantastic teams and racers hitting the road in this Tour de Zwift series, and there's some incredible stories behind some of the avatars. We went to visit competitor Rachel Elliott to hear one of those stories.
Rachel Elliott is one of the strongest riders in the Tour de Zwift, representing KISS Racing Team. Her story is extraordinary. Rachel is the comeback queen. Back in February 2018, Rachel was Zwifting when she started to feel unwell.
I suddenly started to feel a bit dizzy. It got quite a lot more serious and I called 999. I was taken to the Royal Berks Hospital where they did a CT scan, and the doctor came back to me and he said, "You've had a massive bleed that's caused a stroke in a part of the brain that we can't get to." And I remember at the time, I was just 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. I was staring at the wall and thinking, I'm about to die. The doctors have been very, very quick to point out that my cycling was not a cause of it at all. It was something I had in my head at the time and it burst. It just happened to be when I was on my bike. When I had the hemorrhage, I had very low blood pressure, I had a very low pulse because I was not quite fit. My own thinking is, it probably saved my life.
The irony for Rachel was that before the stroke, not only was she fit, she was fast, holding multiple real-life records in time trials and racing and winning regularly at the top level in Zwift.
The best achievements I managed to do during my time trialling career were 1940 for 10 miles, 50:45 for 25, and also the hour and 34 seconds for 30 miles. I also won a national championship, and that was actually the last time trial I rode before I had my stroke.
The Zwift community rallied round as news of Rachel's stroke spread.
As soon as it happened, I got a huge outpouring from the Zwift community. I mean, I couldn't control the number of messages that were coming into my phone of well-wishing from all over the world. People got together and organised rides for me. I remember doing a ride from my hospital bed where people joined from all over the world. My own racing team really helped as well. Glenn Knight, he managed to acquire me a sort of desk pedalling machine. I was also very, very lucky to be gifted an iPad. So I set up this contraption in my hospital. I was able to Zwift with these people all around the world from my hospital beds. I felt totally overwhelmed for the support, and it was absolutely incredible just what an amazing community the Zwift community was.
Rachel was left with what would become a permanent visual impairment. For months, cycling, which had been so much of her life, had to be forgotten. But in time, Rachel was back on Zwift.
It was really Tour de Zwift last year, actually. It allowed me to push myself just that little bit further. I think by the end of Tour de Zwift, I was sort of beginning to see those sort of racing heart rates that I'd seen before, and I thought, hang on, this is the old Rach come back again. And that gave me the incentive to enter a few races.
Now, almost 2 years after her stroke, Rachel is back, tearing up trees on Zwift and smashing TTs out on the road with her partner on a racing tandem, Ian.
So I can no longer ride a bike outside on my own, but what I can do is I can just jump on my bike at any time and ride on Zwift. It's got the enjoyment back into cycling for me. I love riding with other people on Zwift. I'm a happier person. I think I'm a better person for it, actually.
It's easy to use the word community around lots of things, but there really is a Zwift community around Rachel and the outpouring of support to her. I was just watching it in chat then as we watched that. Katie Levy, big heart. John Rich said she's a true Zwift legend. Ed Laverack said, I met her on the weekend and real what she's done. and John Rich as well. I think it was John Rich, Mark Hewitt, who said she's still bloody quick now. It is amazing what Rachel's done considering what's happened.
I think she's a huge inspiration to many, not just people who ride a bike, but to everyone, to see the determination of her being able to get back on the bike and get back racing. And I think, she was so passionate before racing on the velodrome, out on town trials, and to see her get back to full fitness, it's actually quite emotional watching, and she should be very, very proud of herself. And the community, even just now, you just see how loved she is. And it's people from all over the world. These people might not have ever met Rachel, but the Zwift community and people, communicating with each other and chatting with each other, just getting to know each other and become friends over Zwift. It's brilliant.
I love the fact she did a ride from a hospital bed as well with an iPad and one of those.
Wow.
I've never seen one of those little connected trainers. Amazing.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Right then, let's look forward to the next Tour de Zwift stage. We're entering Bologna. Ciao, Matt Stevens. Ciao.
Ciao! Stage 4 takes place in Bologna, the Zwift World, which showcases the route the World Tour teams raced in the individual time trial at Stage 1 of the 2019 Giro d'Italia. This metre-by-metre replication departs from the Piazza Maggiore, the main square in the heart of Bologna, which includes the Basilica di San Petronio and the Fountain of Neptune, both very popular tourist destinations. All groups on this stage will finish at the top of the climb. The A group will complete 2 laps, B and C will complete 1. The race group and the Pro-Am will race 2 laps of this route, while the runners will complete 1 single lap. The climb itself starts immediately after the hairpin bend, with an initial 500 metres at 12%, but then eases off to 7% for 400 metres. The descent continues to drag on, but finishes with 700 metres at a 5% grade, which may feel almost flat after the steep sections you've just conquered. Addio.
I think we're all a big fan of Watopia, which was the last world out, riding around volcanoes underwater, but that Bologna course is truly beautiful.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it? I think it's just, fantastic and showcases everything about Italy. I mean, brilliant.
Sit on the turbo, eat some pasta as you're doing it. That climb is going to be brutal, and it's the longest race we've had so far, 24 kilometres. I'm not sure what that is in miles. I don't do miles.
Who works in miles?
No, I do it in kilometres because it feels like you've gone further, doesn't it, every time you do it, and faster. But the length of that climb is going to change the race, isn't it? It's going to change how and where people attack.
Yeah, definitely. 2 kilometres in length, and, in some parts the gradient is very, very steep. It's team-based competition. Teams are going to have to work together to get these points, and the top 10 riders will score points at the top of the climb, and then the top 20 riders will score points at the finish line. So it's important to remember that being a team-based competition, the points with the most will win, and it's not the individual, and it's not the first person over the line. So, throughout, if riders start to get dropped and the group does split, teams might think, if they're speaking on Discord or another channel, they might say, hey, you need to wait up on the front group, let our other 3 riders get back.
Or you need to drop maybe a power-up, because obviously there'll be power-ups are going to be live in this race, which I think totally animates it. There are the power-ups that you might see above some of the riders' heads. The invisibility one has absolutely changed the way some of the racing has been going. Let's take a look at the teams as we're about a minute and a half away from the start of this 4th race in the Tour de Zwift series. Which one of those teams should we be looking out for, Hannah?
It's without a doubt Canyon ZCC.
They are good, aren't they?
They've got everyone. James Phillips, Alex West. He was the last person to win on this course on Trofeo Bologna. He went for a long one on the climb, around 900 metres out. However, there is on this course going to be a few riders to watch. Simon Wilson from Ribble Weltite, and also not shown on here is Joey Walker from Vitus Pro Cycling. I would say look out for, but Soren Bay, former Danish national champion as well.
You say that, but as a cyclist, I saw that as Soren Bay. Anyway, for those about to Zwift, we salute you. Let's go over to Nathan to kick things off. Stage 4 is go.
And thank you so much to OJ and Hannah for a great pre-show. Amazing story there with Rachel Elliott, super long time Zwifter, KISS Racing Team being represented. Awesome to see. But we are jumping into the pens in just a minute here. It's about 20 seconds to the start of the race. It's going to be fast and furious from the get-go, I think, trying to set up for a good lead-in to that climb. It's all about the climbs, 2 times around for the lap. And I believe with 2Ks, it's going to be about 7 minutes to the top. Definitely going to be an all-out battle. As you do see here, we got the pictures here of what the start lane is going to be all about here. The riders are out on course. You can see the pack barreling down at us here as it's going to be orange numbers left and right. My name is Nathan Guerra, obviously going to be commentary here for this. And Hannah Walker is actually joining me after an amazing pre-show. And Hannah, we are getting off out on course here, and already we have some people strung out off the back. It's going to be about experience as usual, and as well as pure power on that climb.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you've got to get a good position at the start. And as always, we always see high numbers of power at the start of any Zwift race, but especially this one that, you know, is crucial, getting a good position going into the climb.
Yeah, we are seeing, it looks like Jan Print here, DBR here. That is the Danish bike riders, if you're unfamiliar with the DBR team there. Recently jumping into the esports scene here, we can see Jan's there hammering away 370 watts right now, 88 RPMs, 161 beats per minute. He's got a green screen behind him there, maybe doing a little bit of streaming in his other community races. That'd be pretty cool if that's what that's all about there. As you can see, though, at the front of the race, it is like 5-6 watts per kilogram, and the speeds are incredibly high already. I mean, look at how fast they are flying through this section of the course. These riders are going to be looking for position. It's going to be all about the setup correctly, because I think right off the bat, it gets right into a 7 or 8% grade. It's very steep all the way to the top, Hannah.
Yeah, despite you seeing at the bottom of the screen there, 59 kilometers per hour, and we've already got, you know, a rider who's, you know, got a 1 or 2 second gap. They've been brought back now, but it just shows the effort that these riders are doing to, you know, try and get that great position. Over 92 people in the race today. So yeah, it's full gas from the start.
Full gas for the stars for sure. And as they do take this right-hand turn now, we do see Michael Podsline, Team Experimental, Rowan King, Apers is there as well, as you can see. It does look like McGlinchey. Now that's a rider, actually, but when I was looking at the start of the race, as well as remembering back to stage number 2 when we were on Innsbruck, McGlinchey was very, very aggressive, the Irishman, up and over the top. Vintage Pro Cyclists, who he's representing, and every time we hit the leg snapper, he was one of the first riders to give it a go. So I'd be watching out for him perhaps to be aggressive at the start. We are looking at Lion de Viasa now here. There's the live shots of him there. Also with the green screen behind me, as you can see, lots of these riders are taking up live streaming, and pretty cool to see. Similar, I think, you know, some of these riders may be live on their streams as well, and very cool to see that we're having something similar to what we see with some of the esports with like Twitch rivals and people out there battling it out with their own live perspectives. Very, very cool.
Just look how relaxed Lionel is there, sitting up. He's not even, you know, putting his hands on the bars. Looking very, very confident, I must say. But, you know, so he should be. He's riding for Canyon ZCC.
Yeah, we had a little chatter beforehand, you and I, about who the favorites would be out there. And Lionel was definitely one of them watching out. Not a part of the race the last time we were on this course was Canyon ZCC. Canyon ZCC, though, was on this course the last time there was a race for 2 laps on it, with Alex West taking the win. So Lionel and Alex definitely ones to be watching out for. Ryan Lawson here, coming from the Indoor Specialist, one of the recently launched teams here in the last year, specifically around Zwift Esports. Larson, a very strong rider here, 236 watts right now, 165 beats per minute, looking fairly calm, but up and out of the saddle over and over again, it looks like there, in order to maybe just find the good position and little kicks to really position himself well and not lose that middle of the pack. That's going to be very important, I would think, Hannah, staying right around that 10th wheel in order to be in a good position to find the draft, but yet not get too far back to try and make up distance later on closer to the climb.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be right at the front of the peloton. You know, you're sort of pushing your own wind and not getting any draft. But like you say, you know, sitting in the top 10, get comfortable and just maintain that position. When riders start to come around you, you just, you know, maintain and keep moving up, picking one rider off at a time, and try not to make too many big, you know, exerting efforts, you know, to sort of waste your energy and waste the legs before you get to the main part of the course, which of course is the climb.
Now we are seeing a little bit of shift in the peloton here, and we are seeing, it looks like 3R now. I was actually that there were a couple of different teams making their way to the front. I saw Cryogen, then I did see Team Draft as well as Vision, but it's going to be 3R here with Belen Siaga here coming out of Spain, taking a kick off the front here, up into the 8.8 watts per kilogram, very early attack. And this is maybe similar to what we had seen from Van Geit the first time around. You were talking about this as he went from the BZR team, went very, very early. We're also seeing Team Poland kind of taking control at the front. So a few of the teams here looking to maybe up the pace or at least control the front of the peloton so things don't get too out of control.
Yeah, with teams and riders not racing this course very often, like you say, the last time we did this, I think was around August in Bologna. Teams, you can see the riders are quite nervous. They're not quite sure how they can race it, what's to come, and how much they can control it as well. Of course, as we've mentioned previously in the pre-show, that it's all about the team competition to get the overall win. So also teams don't want to put too much pressure on at the front to sort of drop, or if any riders have any mishaps before you get to the climb.
Yeah, and we are seeing now, it looks like Ribble now making the way to there as well. Now Fusion with Lind, it looks like, at the left-hand side of the pack now. But now moving away backwards, it does look like very quickly the 3R attack there off the front was taken right back in. That might have been just a little bit of TV time more than anything else with everybody watching online.
Yeah, sometimes riders just want to test the legs as well, just kind of put a bit of effort in and sort of stretch the legs, as we might say, and just sort of get themselves prepared and get themselves into the racing mentality, and get themselves prepared for what's to come. Also, just guarding the front and thinking if there's another attack, they're prepared for it.
Yeah, looking, there's going to be a little bit of a right-hand turn, then a left-hand turn in just a moment here, and it's going to start the climb proper here in just a moment. Got a few hundred meters yet before we actually get onto it here, but this is really where the teams are going to be lining up. We do see 5.4 watts per kilogram making it way to the front there. That is going to be Mills Keeling now toward the front. We are currently looking at Christian Moxon, though, for the BRT team, the Bolt Racing team, that is, in the dark brown kit there with some tan lines on it. So a lot of focus there on the face. Doesn't look like he's working too incredibly hard just yet. 153 beats per minute, sitting toward the back of the pack, so probably fairly confident, looks like this rider is, with such a low heart rate at this point, waiting for things to really open up as they're going to hit the climb in just a few moments. We maybe see some of these riders take a relaxed in quotes there, but a little bit not such a contentious attack toward the climb, maybe knowing that it might all come over the top together and then try and make an attack on the second time over the top. I think some of the riders are going to be planning that they're going to come over the top with a group rather than go with any kind of a split.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about, double points on the finish as well. So, you don't want to go too early and sort of, burn your matches. But you can just see, Christian still looking very comfortable and relaxed there. Got a few of his teammates towards the back, but they do need to start thinking about moving up at least and just picking a few people. Van Gate just coming to the fore here at the front as we take that right-hand hairpin.
Yeah, we are seeing, it looks like Whale here as well from Cryogen. Weiss there from Cryogen as well. But Glinchky, we said, from British Pro Cycling was going to be on the aggression. But Tarling from Rowan King that's going to lead things out after that. 202 beats per minute right now coming from Jay Tarling there. Rowan King. That's crazy high heart rate. 13% gradient. Maybe suffering for that a little bit. As Scotty Weiss comes over the top there from Team Cryogen. Diner's there following it up. Now, the interesting thing, Diner was the rider here from Canyon ZCC. Philip Diner led things out through most of the climb the last time we saw them out here. And then Alex West followed it up with a counterattack and came across. It doesn't look like that plan's working out too well, though, at this point, as we've got two off the front with the gap. And it's going to be Scotty Weiss and McGlinchky from British Pro Cycling right now. Two off the front. Weiss there, 421 watts right now, 178 beats per minute. Two are starting to walk away. It looks like Larson and Diner only have 7 or 6 watts per kilogram. Now, the reality may be that these riders know that they can keep it within a few seconds, maybe even 10, 15 seconds, and they can let that go if they believe these riders do not have the TT to hold on throughout the flatter sections of the course.
Yeah, and it also means for these two riders that it means that other teams have got to chase them down. Their teams don't have to do anything to close this gap now. It puts pressure on the likes of Canyon, Rowan King as well. Rowan King actually got 3 juniors racing today. So, Josh Tarling, the rider who we saw before, junior, it's very, very impressive to see him up here, sitting in the top 10 quite comfortably. But I think, the gap now, 4 seconds and 5 seconds back to Branland.
Starting to really open up here now. Scotty Weiss there, 7.3 watts per kilogram, continues on. We're not even halfway up this climb. This is a very long climb. It's going to be 6 to 7 minutes to the top here. And getting through this first section of it, opening up already 6 seconds, and they continue on with the effort there. McGlinchky looking to hang on to the wheel of Weiss there. 178 beats per minute currently coming from McGlinchky, British Pro Cycling. Just right on the wheel. He has not lost it just yet, so he does gain a little bit of an advantage with that draft here. There is a slight draft on the uphills in Zwift, and he may be just looking to hold onto the wheel and see what Scotty can hold on to throughout the duration of this climb. We've got a little bit of a chicane here. It's going to lower the gradient for a moment. It's going to kick right back up into that 8%, now 9%, 10% gradient on this switchback here with Scotty. Christopher there, as you can see, 616 watts right now, 177 beats per minute as they grind out those RPMs on the climb. Obviously, the smart trainer pushing back on him with that force right now.
Yeah, McGlinchey just needs to focus on staying with Vice here. He's doing a great job. You saw him lose a second or two, but I think he's realized on that kick up on the climb that he needs to stay with him. They've got a good, decent gap now. However, it's starting to come down. Gardner's starting to press on now, closing the gap to 5 seconds. So you can just see how easy it is once the riders in the peloton start to press on and sort of see the danger, how quickly they can bring the gap down.
Now, with the level of riders that are in here and the reality of this 16% gradient, we are starting to see who really has the power here. The cream of the crop here is going to rise to the top of this climb. That is for sure. We are seeing Vyazin go across the Motram as well. Motram here now with Vitus Pro Cycling as well. So Canyon ZCC looking to get involved in a breakaway, perhaps with Cryogen to Vitus Pro. It looks like Indoor Specialist and Matthew Gardner here trying to come across. Brian Larson's trying to follow things up as well behind this group that we're looking at right now. This is the leaders on screen right now. Behind right now, there is some action going on with the main chase group, and Lionel Vyazin is trying to get across. 6.2 watts per kilogram coming from him. I'm not sure what's going to happen as Scotty Weiss continues on with Miklinski just locked, glued to his wheel. But really, this is Weiss that's making things happen.
Yeah, you can really see that Miklinski is really, struggling to stay on the wheel. The gap keeps opening a little bit, but he just needs to keep focused. But Weiss, he just keeps that power down, 8 watts per kilo. But then you can see now, Canyon ZCC, they've got 2 in this front group, along with Indoor Specialists. It's, they're in a really strong position right now. But look at the effort in the bottom corner from Lionel. We're still looking comfortable, just gets into a more comfy position, puts his arms onto the handlebars. But 186 beats per minute.
Yeah, Lionel Vyazin here now. We are seeing 186, like you said, 9.5 watts per kilogram now as he kicks here. And it looks like the gap to Weiss is opening up here at this point. It is a solo rider off the front. Miklinski now 4 seconds back from him. So it looks like Weiss is trying to go away solo at this point. There's a fire lit underneath Scotty Weiss right now from Team Cryogen. Vyazin here trying to do what he can for Canyon ZT to get across. Miklinski as well jumps into 8.2 watts per kilogram, looking to kick on the sharp gradient of 10% here now as they're getting close to the top. They are KOM points at the top. This is all about the KOM. There's no sprint point out there today. The intermediate is just the KOM, and Weiss is looking to take all of those points for Team Cryogen. Vitus is looking to get involved here as well. He'll be coming through in second, perhaps, unless Vyazin can close things down right now. Then it's still 12 seconds back from the leader, actually more than 12, almost 20 seconds back from the leader to the main chase group. And that main chase group, Hannah, is completely splintered. We are not seeing a large peloton, I don't think, here today. It is going to be nothing but mayhem and splintered groups trying to chase things down. Scotty Weiss across, it looks like, for first.
Yeah, it's absolutely exploded, hasn't it? But Miklinski is doing a good job to keep the gap, not too distant. Although we just see now 12 seconds. Vyazin is coming back to him. If Miklinski can just get on Lionel's wheel, he should be able to recover on this descent now and get back to Scotty Weiss. But this is an incredible effort by Scotty Weiss. Even he's putting down the pressure as well on the downhill, 8.6 watts per kilogram. He's just opening the gap out. 16 seconds now.
Yeah, it's really broken up out here. Riders on the. We are looking at the main group here, but the points here on the left-hand side, as you can see here, Scotty Weiss 10, Miklinski, Vyazin, Brad Gavaris, Brandlin, Larson, Motram, Gardner, Apers, and then Merritt there for Cryogen. So looking at the point situation here, it does look like quite a few of the teams here have some consistency, Hannah, but and it does look like Cryogen has and Indoor Specialist have really set out to grab some points out here.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've got 3 each in the top 10 there. 3 each in the top 10, which, it's all about consistency and each, picking up as many points as you can. Scotty Weiss, making his way down this descent. If you see the team standings on the left-hand side, 18 points to Cryogen, 13 to Vitus, 8 to Canyon ZCC, 8 to Indoor Specialist. So actually very impressive by Vitus Pro Cycling there.
Yeah, and very good to see.
Yeah, and it's good to see that the UCI pro teams are now actually coming back to the fore and sort of challenging the Zwift community teams.
Yeah, Vitus definitely showing up on the day. Canyon, DHB, KRT, Draft, Ribble all tied for 7th with no points. So they're going to be tied with everybody else out there today at this point. So it's really just those top 6, it looks like, overall at this point. There's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, teams there. And it's going to be quite the effort there from Canyon, ZCC, Indoor Specialists, Team SC,
I
and
think
BZR to
McGlinchey
make
is
it
caught
back.
of ice.
And it does look like Maguchi has caught up at this point. Actually, he's overtaken him with the speed he brought down the downhill. It's gone out to 26 seconds at this point. That is quite the gap. It is going to be a very difficult day if these two are motivated and they work well together. The kind of effort we saw them push over the top. Now, the reality is, though, behind, what kind of a group is behind here is going to be a big question. We do have, it looks to be about 9 riders working together behind. That is going to be a lot of extra firepower and a lot of extra rest before they hit that climb again.
Yeah, Scotty and Chris needs to keep working together well, like they were doing before, because, it's kind of against them a little bit with that group of 9 chasing, and especially with, multiple riders from the same team, they'll be very, very keen to try and bring these two back. But remember, it's not all just for the race win. It's about, getting those the points on the finish line, getting as many riders up there and as scoring as possible.
Yeah, maybe not too many risks going to be taken and just keep it steady behind here now as we do see Matt Gardner from, it looks like, we're looking at the front end with the 2 riders here, but behind there is a group making a chase here. It's going to be Gardner. Now it's going to be Vitus Pro Cycling there, as well as Cryogen with Merritt. Merritt now interesting on the front end of that chase group. Interesting that he's starting to do some work because he's got a rider off the front. But behind the chase group, there's also another chase group containing a patent here from Canyon. Lord Holmes, actually, it looks like here. Well, excuse me, Canyon DHB. And it's like, these riders that are chasing right now here with Hug Innovation, interesting to see that they're making a chase back, and there's going to be a larger group chasing things down.
Well, you just saw then on that shot that it looks like the 2 groups are going to come together. Now, the question is, are they going to continue the chase and keep working together? Or because the group is too big, will they sit up and, look to another team to do all the work to bring this back?
Yeah, we are seeing a huge group starting to coalesce here now. So it's going to be interesting to see that brings it to the table and actually flying right through to the front end of this group and up and out of saddle immediately, not waiting for anybody. It's going to be Patton coming on through. Sean Benton there from Innovation sitting in at the front, but 7 watts per kilogram. He is completely interested in closing this gap down immediately, actually. 523 watts currently coming from him. So this is the current situation at the front end of the group, but this rider has gone straight through, as we can see Pat now as we get the images on him. Coming through, 8 watts per kilogram for a moment there. Now Mottram there from Vitus there, followed up by Vyasen here, seeing that this may be the moment to get across here. And this looks to be all-out breakaway situation. Nobody is sitting around any longer. Sometimes you see people a little bit calmer, but the reality of that climb in the middle of this race has blown things apart so much that they have confidence that some riders don't have any matches left to burn.
Well, yeah, Alex Patton is a very strong time trialist. He's a strong rider, and if he's going to want to, make up any time on these the 2 leaders, he has to do it on the flat and try and get a gap on the main bunch here. But it was a perfect attack. He's been, swallowed back up now, but to catch everyone, without them knowing, he's just come straight past, counter-attacked, almost caught them napping, but they've caught him back up now, and Alex Patton is back in that chasing group.
Yeah, we are seeing it looks like riders here now all back together. BZR is involved there. Indoor Specialist is still involved, it looks like here. KISS Racing Team still there as well with Barra. So good to see some of the community teams obviously still here. But a lot of the UCI Pro teams here, it looks like they've shown up to race here today. And does it look like McGlinchey with Weiss now in sight. So they're not out of sight any longer. 13 seconds up at this point. We're looking at Ryan Larson right now, Indoor Specialist, 162 beats per minute. So I think the heart rates are starting to come down. I think they're starting to feel a little bit of confidence to allow those riders to just kind of dangle out there and waste their effort as they kind of work together to keep that gap within striking distance. And you know who's sitting in here is Brandlin from SZ. And I think he's been following wheels. I'll be watching out for Brandlin for an attack halfway through this climb, following wheels, and then I think fireworks are going to maybe coming out from that SC rider.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about saving energy and, trying not to touch the front too early. You can get a glimpse of Ryan Larson and his effort there out the saddle, just putting down the power. Still looking very, very comfortable. But, this is actually perfect for this chasing group. The two leaders are in sight. They're not, chasing them back too quickly, but it puts pressure on the leaders. And, wasting their energy, if they can catch at the perfect moment.
Yeah, looking through here, it does look like Ryan Larson, we're still looking at 169. So it's coming up a little bit here. I think the riders here are starting to see that the front group has given a little bit more of a kick. I think Scotty as well as McGlinchey here, they've seen that the riders were starting to gain, and I believe there's been a little extra kick, a little extra fire lit underneath them to try and get some more gap before they hit the bottom of that climb. They're going to need a solid 20 to 30 seconds, I think, because of the kind of energy they've already expended. They're not going to have the kind of steady 7 to 8 watts, I don't think, that we saw initially at the bottom of the climb last time. So Christopher McGlinchey, Scotty Weiss still off the front, as you can see here. 6.3 here currently coming from Scotty Weiss there as they fly along. I believe they're steadily going along at 45 to 50 kilometers per hour here at this point. 15.1 or so into this race. 21 minutes of racing down, and the averages have been bonkers at this point.
Yeah, it's an exceptional effort by both of them. And I think just seeing that screen where the chasing group had them in sight, it actually gave them both motivation to put as much effort in as possible not to be caught. But Scotty Weiss, he's just so strong. Each keeps gapping McGlinchey. But McGlinchey keeps coming back to him. 160 beats per minute, 343 watts. Yeah, it's a sensational effort by both. But how long can they stay away for? And what power-ups have they got going into the final climb?
Yeah, that is going to be the question. It was interesting to see, how incredibly steep the climb is. With the reality of how steep it gets, up in those 16, those gradients are just so incredibly difficult. Really, a feather power-up may be the strongest power-up on the day, lightening your avatar by about 1 watt per kilogram or so. It's really, going to be, I think, about who has that kind of a power-up. If you're able to hang on through some sort of attack that gets a gap and then follow through with an arrow power up on the flatter sections, perhaps. But I really think it's going to be about looking for those feathers.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of want to try and get rid of any other one and get a feather power up. That is the most favored one. You can just see these thumbs going into the back pockets of the riders. These are ride-ons, so these are from people watching the stream, giving their riders a thumbs up, saying keep going. So you can see how many ride-ons these riders have been getting, almost falling out the pockets here.
Yeah, and that if you do want to give any ride-ons to some of the riders, we are seeing a ghost power-up now. Now, okay, I'll tell you how you can do a ride-on in just a moment. That ghost power-up is interesting to see here as they come through this banner. That rider was not attacking with that ghost power-up. He was at invisibility power-up. It makes him invisible for about 15 seconds. The reality of that situation was they were looking for another power-up, knowing that going invisible on the climb is most likely not going to be too much of an advantage. So they were looking to grab some sort of other power-up that's going to give them some other advantage. So that's what that was all about. Whenever you do see the little circle above the head with some sort of a power-up in it, it is telling you what power-up is being used by that rider at that moment. Now, those thumbs, though, you can jump onto the companion app, download it on iOS or Android, jump into the companion app, search the rider on the companion app, and you're able to find them and give them ride-ons, actually, right now on the companion app. You can also do it through the app as well on PC, Mac, or any of the other places that you do have the app open. But through the companion app, probably the easiest way to do so. Cheer them on right now. Give some ride-ons and some encouragement to your favorite riders through the companion app. So looking through here now, Scotty Weiss continues on, and it looks like Christopher McGlinchey is just trying to hang on at this point as Weiss continues to try to attack and keep the speeds as high as possible. He is not looking to wait up for this chase group.
No, they're not. And, the gap's continuing to go out 35 seconds now, but each rider taking, similar turns to each other, sharing the workload as we cross these cobbles now in Bologna, 7.1 kilometers to go. So, it'll start to get into the point where these riders are thinking about the finish, just thinking about, saving as much energy as possible before they get to that hairpin again. But you're already seeing, it'll give them motivation as well, seeing these riders who are behind them and going in the opposite direction. They've still got to do the rest of the remaining lap. But Maglinski, he seems to have recovered after, he was struggling a little bit earlier on towards the top of the climb, but he seems to have recovered. However, in that being said, he doesn't want to waste too much energy and do the same mistake as he did earlier on.
Yeah, we did see him following along most of the ways here. Now, you got to remember, Scotty is a much lighter rider as well. So we will see probably a little bit higher watts per kilogram for him through a lot. We're looking at almost 20 kilograms, actually, difference between him and Christopher. So maybe going to see a little bit difference in the watts per kilogram, but the speed's going to be closer with the pure wattage on these flatter sections. Now, it's going to be difficult, I would think, on the climb, as Scotty's going to be more of a pure climber out there to try and match that at 53 versus 73 kilograms. Getting some back-end information here as well, as far as looking at Lionel Viasen here with those live shots of them. Looking focused here, looking like he's just looking to sit in. They're allowing this gap to go out to almost 20 seconds. They seem confident it's going to come back. And Lionel, if we're looking at some of the stats at this point, on the lower end for the riders that have put out the effort in this chase group, the highest being around 5.5 watts per kilogram, but we're looking at about 4.7, almost a full watt per kilogram lower. And he's right around, interesting enough to see, even though he was at the front end of that chase group over the climb, he's reserved a lot of energy on the flatter sections, and he's matching some of the other riders who I think are saving something for this climb. Speaking specifically, James Fouché, we're seeing Lionel Viasen, as well as Philip Diner. We're seeing Michael Apers in there and Samuel Brandlin, all right around that 4.5 watts per kilogram to 4.7 watts per kilogram on average throughout this race right now. Some of the other riders doing the brunt of the work, more of Alex Patton, also Canyon DHB as well, looking with Maximo Stedman. So some of these other riders really taking up the reins to bring back that break at this point. I think those other riders have been sitting in, specifically Brandlin as well as Viasen and Diner. We're going to see some crazy fireworks from them, putting everything on the line to bring this gap back.
Well, I was going to say it'd be interesting to see if any of these riders are, sort of waiting for the bottom of the climb and they're going to go all out to try and catch these two leaders up there. But as we see, the gap's going out to over 40 seconds now, just drops down to 39 seconds. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be doable. 5 kilometers to go. And these two riders, Scotty Weiss and Christopher Maglinski, really working well together. 171 beats per minute and keeping a nice cadence there, 43k per hour. So, they're not hanging around here. But Max Stedman, you can just see on the right-hand side, come into up into the top 10 for Canyon DHB soaring. He's a very, very good climber in real life as well, and he's one to watch. So, Alex Patton doing a lot of work for teammate Max Stedman.
Yeah, good call there for sure. We'll see if Stedman lower there. He's put out about a half a watt per kilogram less there on average there. And yes, you are definitely correct there. Maximilian, they're weighing at 54 kilograms, so definitely a lot lighter than Alex Patton, coming in at 77. So he's the climber that Alex is most likely working for, and that's most likely why we saw that big attack to get some motivation. I think that was more of a motivating attack coming from Alex rather than going across to come on, boys, get the speed up, chase me down, let's start rotating through, quit messing around and looking at each other. Alex wanted to set Maximilian up for this climb.
Yeah, definitely. And it means that the other teams have to chase back Alex Patton and sort of waste their legs and waste their energy. And it's, a great tactic from Canyon DHB. But Scotty Weiss and Christopher still staying away here. 38 seconds, it's, consistently staying at. But Viasen coming up to the 4 now.
Yeah, I would start being worried. I mean, 40 seconds. They've got plenty of gap here at this point to take out 40 seconds. And these boys now, with that kind of a gap at the front here, they can start kind of taking their effort down a little bit. They can start reserving a little bit for this climb. This group behind has to put the pressure on. They have to actually make these riders feel like they need to waste effort at this point, because the reality is the climb is going to be upon them in moments. It's only about a K, maybe a little bit more than a K out from this point. And that reality is that as soon as they start the climb, if they have any kind of freshness in the legs, it's that much more of a reality that they will most likely stay away. So Mottram, Viasen, Gardner, this whole group needs to start putting the pressure on in the world of Zwift right now, so that those riders up ahead can see that and have to burn matches to keep this gap at this point. This is a very dangerous spot for this chase group.
Yeah, it's very, very dangerous. And you can just see, there's only around 17 riders left in this front group. You can just see how hard the race has been. It's the longest race we've had so far on Tour de Zwift. But Canyon ZCC, consistently staying towards the front, but, they don't want to, sort of waste too much energy. There's only 2 of them there. And, they just want to take points, as many points as possible in the final climb. Maybe they're thinking now, okay, forget being first over the line. Let's pick up as many points as possible and score as high as possible.
That's a great point, actually. And looking at the group that's on the chase now, it is going to be who can grab the most points out of this group. Indoor Specialist with 2 riders, Cryogen with 2 riders, with a rider out the front. So that's a lot of points for Cryogen that they're looking to pick up here. Canyon, it looks like they're presented by Soiner, as you say, it is, I believe,
Yeah.
along with KISS Racing Team, as well as BZR Cycling Team, Innovation with a couple of riders in there as well, all with the most gain. Now, it's going to be as off the back, though, Poland, Team Poland not involved here. Fusion ECT, Team Experimental, a lot of teams here that with about 30 seconds up from the second chase group. So there's a third chase group back at this point. They're about a minute back from the main, from the front of the race at this point, and 30 seconds or so back from this chase group. And so with those kind of gaps here, there may be some still with that second chase group trying to close things down. Interesting to see. Alex West, the winner, James Phillip, the winner of the last time we were on this course, uninvolved. Evoke, uninvolved. Some of these top teams, do we count them out completely at this point?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised not to see them up there, and especially Alex West. He knows this course, he knows how to ride it. Obviously, just maybe a lack of concentration for a moment, missed the move, and wasn't ever able to sort of recover and get back to the group. But very surprising. McClinchky, he, like you said before, he is over 20 kilos heavier than Scotty Weiss. So, is he going to try and go for a long one? Is he just going to try and hang on as long as possible to Weiss's wheel? Because the power to weight really does make a difference on a climb like this.
Yeah, 13% gradient that we're looking at as they do start the climb here, and in 37 seconds. They started with about 49 seconds when they hit the bottom of the climb. A little bit of that speed that the other riders took into the bottom of the climb is going to follow them up here. Vyasen is going now, it looks like, and he wants to close things down.
Max Stedman going as well there for Canyon DHB, presented by Soaring. Fireworks now. Look at the gap. It's been slashed to 26 seconds now. Here we go. Can Dan Vermeulen catch the 2 leaders who've been away basically for the whole race?
Vermeulen going VZR now. Diner trying to get across here. Look at the RPMs pick up as Diner and Vyasen. There. Brandon, we said, may be sitting in and just following wheels until the halfway point. I would not be surprised at all if Brandon follows every single attack and trusts that they're going to bring back this 22 seconds. Now, 22 seconds looks nothing like the kind of gap they had before. And as it comes down consistently here, it's going to be about whether or not Weiss can hold on to the pressure he's put on the front. McClinchky looks to be continuing to try and hold on to this, but it is a 1 second gap here. Is a sole chaser kind of at this point. Mochim now trying to close that down. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do so, though, as Diner here sits on his wheel along with Brandon. We're back with Christopher McClinchky. He's getting gapped now by Weiss. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to hang on to this wheel. This looks like it's everything he's got. 180 beats per minute, 535 watts. And this is one of those points where you try and close it down and you're getting dropped, and you try and close it down and you're getting dropped. And there's a reality that that kind of effort he's trying to go across with, while Weiss holds it consistently, and it looks like maybe not comfortably, but this is what I can hold through the duration, whereas McClinchky's kind of come across and it's not what he can hold for the duration. It looks like it's said and done.
Yeah, there's only so many attacks and effort that you can put in to stay on the wheel of someone. And once you dig so deep, you can't go any deeper. It's just a case of whether McClinchky can hold off this chasing bunch of Vermeulen. But you can see now it's gone out 10 seconds. They've lost 10 seconds. So Scotty Weiss is really riding away with this as he takes this switch back. He's doing a great job here, but keeping the pressure. Can McClinchky come back for Vitus? Mikey Mottram there sitting in 4th. This is great for Vitus Pro Cycling.
Yeah, we do see Maglinski here now, 6.7 watts per kilogram, trying to get another kick here. He may be able to hold on for second here, but there is now Vermeulen now. Now we're going to see Motum here. Vitus Pro Cycling trying to come across still, leading the pack out. Diner following there. Brad Gavaris right behind him, it looks like, for Cryogen out of South Africa here. Continuing on with just a steady 6.0 watts per kilogram, 169 beats per minute, 450 watts. Absolute suffering right now. And now up and out of the saddle a little bit here comes the Avatar as they go into the little bit of flatter section, couple of switchbacks, and I have a feeling we're going to see things break apart again as it gets into the sharper 12, 13% gradients. Now these are the sections that really put the hurt on.
Yeah, it's like who can hold on. You can just see riders starting one by one going out the back. It's it's a race of attrition here in Bologna. But have they left it too late? 841 meters left for the leaders, and a ghost power up being used on the left-hand side. It looks like Lionel Vujasin of Canyon ZCC. He's making his way. He's trying to chase down these two leaders of Scotty Weiss and Maglinski.
He actually used that. That's a great use, actually. Maybe a little bit unlucky as he was maybe looking for something else, probably a feather power-up or an arrow power-up, but he used it to his best. It kind of leaves the other riders there a little bit caught out for a moment. Who's going to follow? Oh, now I got a 3-second gap rather than immediately trying to jump on it. And there's a reality here at this point that now they kind of put their hands in the air a little bit. Do I want to kick that hard to go across? And Vujasin here looking to chase down second place, it looks like. Not sure he's going to be able to bring back that 25 seconds, but it looks like with the matching of the numbers of Christopher Maglinski and Lionel Vujasin may be able to grab second pretty quickly here.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on how much effort Maglinski has got left after being away for so long. Scotty Weiss looks like he's riding away with this, but Vujasin, he really has got the bit between his teeth. Can he catch him in time with 400 meters left to go? It's still possible because if Maglinski blows up and, sort of doesn't have anything left in the tank, it's still possible to take second place.
Very smart effort we're seeing here from rider because we said before they hit the climb that he was reserving something. See it in the numbers, in the stats in the background. He's looking to close things down. He's got orange numbers still. He's kicking in 7.6, but you can still see Weiss trying to hold on to 6 to 7 watts per kilogram. I think it's starting to take its toll a little bit on Scotty Weiss at this point, but he's almost got the finish banner in sight now with a 24-second gap here at this point. I don't believe it's coming back. Maglinski here, 9-10 seconds. It's still going a little bit. And Vujasin here, but it looks like Scotty Weiss is going to walk away with this. We're back with Lionel Vujasin now. 7 watts per kilogram coming from him. He has to close down 16 seconds. If he can continue on with this kick to the line, we'll see if it can happen. Brandlin, we said at the halfway point, was going to be watch out for. Is Brandlin going to make this happen? It looks like Vujasin now, 8.9 watts per kilogram, closing things down to Christopher.
Yeah, this is incredible. And look at Cryogen coming up. Brad Gavarius in 5th place. It's all about getting as many of your team into the finish and getting maximum points as possible. It's all about the team overall. Brandlin coming now for Sweden. This is an incredible effort for him. As long as he can hold off Brad Gavarius here, who's putting in a late charge at 8.4 watts per kilogram. But it looks like Brandlin's going to cruise across the line.
Yeah, Brandlin coming across the line there, followed by Gavaris there, then Vinton trying to battle to the line with his teammate Apers there, and then Mochram followed up by Diner across the line, and Stedman coming across, it looks like somewhere within the top 10. So it does look like Scotty Weiss, Maglinski there, 24 points, and then followed up. Looks like looks like Vujasin there for third for 23 points for Canyon ZCC. That's your top 3 at this situation. So let's go.
Just like a mountain stage in a rainstorm. We lost the coverage there at the end. That was some race. Scotty Weiss. I mean, he went away on that first climb. He had a little bit of help, and then he blew everyone away. Finished it solo. Absolutely
fantastic. What an effort by him. And also Maglinski. They worked really well together. He recovered well. He got back to Scotty Weiss. Yeah. Wow.
And then he got ridden off his wheel as well. I mean, the effort that they put in and managed to stay away as well, the ability to recover at 5 watts per kilo, coming downhill as well. I mean, that's where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, you want to sort of recover on the downhill, but you saw Scotty Weiss. He continued his effort, didn't have any recovery at all, and still was, opening the gap. It got a bit close, didn't it, to the chasing group? It came down quite significantly. But then as soon as the two groups came together, the gap went back out again.
It was interesting. It was interesting to watch the group. And we see this in real races, in real life, where you see a group not get its act together, not work out who's chasing down. Everyone looks around. And what we saw then was the digital equivalent. Nobody got their act together, because realistically, a group that big should have been able to ride down 2 riders.
Yeah, of course they should. And you saw the opportunity that Alex Patton took from Canyon DHB, presented by Saurine. He saw that moment when the two groups came together, counter-attack, and it forces the other teams to chase him down. He was setting up perfectly for Max Stedman. But as you say, when there's no cooperation, the two riders out in front were always going to stay away.
Hard work, by the way, Hannah Walker. Presented the start with me. They ran off and did the commentary in another room. Then ran back in at the end.
I've raced it myself.
I know. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. The results have come in. Remember, this was a team race, so let's take a look at the teams first. Cryogen. So Scotty Weiss going off on the front there, picking up a ton of points for his team. What possibly could have happened if his teammates hadn't gone with him is he could have been solo. Great solo breakaway win. Would have meant nothing in the cause of a team.
No, it wouldn't. And, it's all about those team tactics and picking up as many points as possible and scoring the maximum that you can. But what's great to see? The UCI professional teams are now in the mix. Vitus taking 2nd overall on the night, and actually, giving it some to the Zwift community teams. Canyon ZCC probably not best pleased with their performance today, but they really did give it a go, especially with Lionel in the finish there. Yeah,
it is a fabulous race that we just saw there. With the pro teams, I think, because there was such a big climb, which, may I say, I will be racing this with Hannah Walker on Sunday, that climb made me feel a little sick for the entirety of it happening. It is big in places. Do you think the pro teams, because obviously when they're out, they know how to pace a climb? They know how to pace it, where to go and where to attack. Do you think that's why we saw the team of Vitus actually do better in this race than we have done previously?
I think so. And it just the power shone through, and the tactics were still involved, and which the Zwift community really did take advantage of. However, when it came to the power on that climb, the amount of times that Christopher from Vitus got dropped and he got back to Scotty Weiss, it was quite impressive actually.
Oh, it was. Heartbreaking as well.
It was, actually.
Let's take a look at the end of the race again. Here we go. Let's just look through. This is Scotty Weiss. We see him. It's like a helicopter shot. When the helicopter shots get a little bit patchy when they go through a ton of cloud when they're heading in. It's exactly what it looks like. It was fascinating. A fascinating race. It was great to see it. The men have shown us what they could do. Next time out, it will be the winning when we head to a new world. But stage 4 on Bologna kicks off in just a matter of hours. Starts at 8 a.m. GMT, or if you're PST, that is midnight. If you want to find all the rides you can do, zwift.com/TDZ ride to see the event schedule. Pick an event that works for you and your time. There's them every single hour, or you can do it via the Zwift Companion mobile app, of which we are on. Do you actually follow me on that?
Of course I do. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do.
Good.
Raya asked me last week, and I was like, do you follow me? I was like, yeah, of course I do. Quickly following her, she wasn't looking.
Yeah, I'm always stalking what you're doing. How much training has he been doing?
Starred. Yeah. Next time out, we're going to be in New York City. As the question had been coming in, Corey Woods was just asking who will be racing. It will be the elite women back to take on 2 laps of the Gotham Grind reverse course, which for me is just one of the best names of any of the courses. Monday, 27th of January, 7 p.m. GMT, 11 a.m. PST for the next Tour de Zwift live show. So what are we saying then? Sunday evening GMT?
Let's go for it. 6-ish?
Yeah, that's about good. Post bedtime for the kids. That way I can jump
Perfect.
on. Me and you. I think Raya said she had a half marathon to do, so I don't know whether she's in or not.
Yeah, but that might give us a better opportunity against her, because she might be a bit tired.
Danny Rowe and T-Pain as well, who works at Zwift, who is racing with us as part of the Sweaty Beast.
Come join us.
Come and join us. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, we'll be back with the next stage, and Bologna will be live in just a matter of hours. Goodbye, Hannah Walker.
Goodbye, OJ Borg.
Goodbye.